James Gunn's DC-verse hasn't exactly gotten off to the greatest of starts. Superman was pretty lackluster at the cinema, not making its money back. Then Peacemaker Season 2 went down like a lead balloon and failed to do anything on the charts. Supergirl's first trailer has been met with, well, not the most positive reaction, shall we say. And then the next movie that James Gunn decided to announce was another Superman movie, essentially making this DC verse just a superverse, which isn't working out. But when in doubt, break that glass, pull that lever, and summon Batman. That'll fix everything. Well, until you find out who's going to be writing it. Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Love the James Gunn verse, loathe the James Gunn verse. It's not off to the greatest start at all. And with Warner potentially being sold to Netflix, there's a lot of things which are in flux, and there's a lot of things which are subject to potential change. The Gunverse is just something from its own devices that might have to force change. Superman, not doing great at the cinema, needed to make about 700 odd million to break even. It broke 615 million at the box office, so it didn't make its money back. It did go on to streaming, so it had, good potential to go into profit, but let's just say not the greatest of starts by any stretch of the imagination. Peacemaker Season 2 was all over the place. It was terrible and failed to make any impact on the streaming charts at all. Supergirl's first trailer, well, again, a lot of people not that, interested, I would say is probably the best word. It kind of just looks like a Guardians of the Galaxy ripoff, because that's all James Gunn knows, bit of a one-trick pony. Then he announces Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is going to be a movie focusing on Superman and Lex Luthor, and you realize that you're not really getting a DC universe here. You're just getting a lot of super-related characters. So what happens when you need to bring something else to the table, something which could potentially grab an audience and drag them to a cinema, aka Batman? Well, The Batman 2 is meant to be starting principal photography, early filming, pretty much any time now. That's looking to be releasing in 2027. Got to get your skates on, really. And The Brave and the Bold, which was the announced Batman project for the Gunverse, which was meant to be the third movie that they released behind The Authority, but both of them essentially got pushed. The Authority got cancelled. Well, they're now talking about it's happening for 2028. Batman is coming to the Gunverse. A year after The Batman 2 is going to be arriving at the cinema, which doesn't have any relation to the Gunverse, and is already the first Batman movie done more than his Superman movie. So what if The Batman 2 really resonates with an audience and does well at the cinema, and then Gunn's Batman? Oh my god. There is lots of pitfalls and traps here. But I think the worst news is that they've announced who's going to write The Brave and the Bold, and that's Christina Hodson. And if you don't know who she is, let me introduce you. Let's start off with what I believe to be her best outing, which is Bumblebee, which is not the greatest Transformers movie of all time, because that's Transformers the movie, which came out in 1986 and celebrates its 40th anniversary later in August this year. No, Bumblebee is probably best known for its opening 10 minutes, which are completely CGI, which is completely set on Cybertron, and actually has the Transformers looking like how the Transformers should look. Michael Bay should take note, but I very much doubt that he ever would. the likelihood is Christina Hodson probably didn't even write that opening segment either, but never mind. The actual movie itself, when it gets to Earth and we get the human characters and John Cena and is it Haley Steinfeld or whatever, it's fine. It's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible, I wouldn't say, but it's sort of okay. That's what I think is her best film, because next we're going to this, Birds of Prey, a movie that I would describe personally as complete dog shit. It's horrific. If you are a DC fan, and if you, well, first of all, can probably, apart from Harley Quinn, guess who any of the characters are on screen, because as a DC fan, they don't resemble any of. This is meant to be Huntress. This is meant to be Renee Montoya. This is meant to be Cassandra fucking Cain. And this is meant to be Black Canary. The film is atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Embarrassing. It's not funny. It's not quirky. It's not witty. I think there's only one good scene in the film. When I say good, I think I'm sort of stretching the definition there. But that actually involves Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, while he makes one of the, well, just an extra or whatever in the show, feel very uncomfortable. Other than that, the rest of it is absolute tripe of the highest order, written by Christina Hodson. But does even that pale into insignificance when you put it up against The Flash? I mean, you had Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, you had Ben Affleck's Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman, returning to the role since 1992. And yeah, you had to deal with Ezra Miller, and all sympathies as regards to that. But the film lost hundreds of millions of dollars. It was an absolute catastrophe. It was an awful film. The plot was just nonsensical trash. The effects were garbage. Once again, written by Christina Hodson. So a body of work to date is not very impressive at all. And yet, she was announced as part of James Gunn's writing team for the Gunverse. And sometimes you just got to legitimately ask yourself how. But there's another film, which I haven't shown you, that Christina Hodson wrote, that didn't even see the light of day. Can you remember what that is? And yes, it's another superhero film. Batgirl. Do you remember that? Yes, the very same Batgirl that David Zaslav pulled, cancelled, stopped, refused to release. It was 98% completed. There was just a little bit of post-production work to do. It was all done and dusted, and he went, nope. No, we'll take the tax write-off. Thank you very much indeed. It's not coming out. A movie that was said to be so bad, so appalling, well, that we had a decision from a studio head made like that. And that, in the current environment of the amount of dog shit which is coming out, is absolutely crazy. But you notice that James Gunn was brought in to allegedly revitalize the DC universe because it is completely off track. And yet one of the first things he did was hire a writer that was responsible for so many different failures within it. None of this makes any sense. And yes, there are a few mitigating circumstances, particularly when a universe is still ongoing with movies to release, and then you announce that, oh, that's all useless and a waste of time because we've got this new guy now and he's going to start a completely different one. And yeah, that's going to have a major effect on some of those films. But when you've actually seen them, The Flash and Birds of Prey and stuff like that, do you say to yourself, oh, well, they absolutely didn't deserve the terrible scores that they really got, or the drubbing that it really got, or the cinematic failure that it really got? Well, the answer would be, yeah, they deserved it. They absolutely deserved it. These films are terrible. So you can have all the excuses under the sun about dealing with Ezra Miller, and obviously that guy was an absolute Fruit Loop. But you were just gifted Birds of Prey, and you created a film that had nothing to do with the Birds of Prey. You created characters which didn't resemble their counterparts in the slightest. It was a pile of fucking dog shit. And then you create The Flash. You take Michael Keaton. You take beloved characters, as well as an existing universe with this Snyderverse. And you could have done some great stuff with it, and you just threw it, absolutely flushed it down the toilet. You take Batgirl. You write that. You write it so poorly that Zaslav's just like, no, cut it out. Stop. No, we'll take a tax write-off. And then James Gunn comes along. Hey, The Flash is my favorite film of all time. Christina, do you fancy a job? Free money. And then you give her Batman. I can't think of anybody I would rather not have write a Batman movie than her. Hell, I would rather have James Gunn, and that's saying something because I think he's fucking shite as well. But in terms of, is this the right person for the job? God, get out of it. This is one of the most nonsensical appointments I've ever heard. So again, you got to ask yourself how, why, what's going on. This doesn't track. This doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, I'm not going to throw anything out there. You know, I'll let your own imaginations run wild. But if you think that Christina Hodson is capable of writing a great Batman script, then you got another thing coming. Then on top of that, you're following The Batman 2 from the previous year as well, which is likely going to be pretty decently written because The Batman was 2/3 of a good movie. You couldn't get that third act right. But Christina Hodson for Batman, oh my God. If James Gunn was doing this on purpose, just kind of like throwing in the towel, sod it, who knows? Who knows? If Supergirl tanks, if Clayface tanks, if Man of Tomorrow tanks at the cinema, I might not even have a job anyway, so who fucking knows? But the thing is, 2028, once upon a time, felt like a long time in the future. And when you realize we're in January of 2026, you realize it's only 2 years away now. And then my alarm bells start going off big time. But anyway, I really don't care for this DC universe. I'm sick and tired of superhero movies in general. So the more terrible ones that can be made, so the sooner studios decide to just get rid of them and start focusing on something else, maybe something original for a fucking change, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But my God, Christina Hodson, failure after failure after failure, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars lost here. Have Batman. And you reckon we're dealing with a meritocracy here? Yeah, not so much. I'll see you in the next video. You take care. Goodbye, Baloo Boo!